Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking dead aim at one of the absolute most frustrating things we all deal with: life's total unmanageability. You know the feeling. We're going to explore a highly structured, really fascinating framework for problem solving. It's basically a toolkit to help unlock those elusive solutions that are usually hiding right in plain sight.
I mean, seriously, are you completely paralyzed right now by a difficult decision? Look, we have all been there. You're staring down this massive, complex problem. Every option seems terrible, right? The pressure is just mounting, and you feel entirely stuck, overwhelmed, immobilized. The world starts spinning faster, and our gut instinct is to just freeze, tighten our grip, and do absolutely nothing. It is a completely valid struggle and honestly a core part of the human experience. But hey, it doesn't mean you have to stay stuck. To actually get unstuck, we're going to turn to a fantastic concept from Thomas Alethea's book, 12 Steps to a Good Life. And the starting point is perfectly captured by MMA fighter Melissa Scare Croden. She said, "No problem can be solved by the same consciousness that created it." And this brilliantly illustrates how our current worldview, our everyday beliefs and attitudes, essentially forms a restrictive box around our thinking. The only solutions we can currently see are the ones trapped right inside that tiny, rigid box with us. So to find a real answer, we literally have to force our brains outside of it.
Which brings us directly to the trap we almost always fall into: the false dilemma. This is a sneaky cognitive bias the book warns us about, where we artificially limit our own choices. We tell ourselves, well, I either have to choose option A or option B, effectively blinding ourselves to any nuance. But contrasting that artificial trap is the expansive reality of true problem solving, which is infinite alternatives. The universe is just so much larger than our limited perspective. We just need the exact right tool to actually see those other paths.
Step 3. Develop alternatives.
The book outlines a 7-step guide, but we're zooming right into this specific one today.
This step is the highly creative phase. You aren't trying to pick the final, perfect answer just yet. You're just generating as many ideas as humanly possible, with zero filtering. The goal? Break the problem wide open. And here's the ultimate actionable checklist to force your brain to do exactly that: the SCAMPER Framework. SCAMPER is an acronym. It stands for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. When you're paralyzed by a decision, this specific brainstorming checklist forces you to creatively pull your problem apart piece by piece. Let's break down exactly how to use each one of these prompts.
We're going to move really fast here because, hey, brainstorming requires dynamic momentum. First up is S for substitute. This is all about looking at the raw materials of your dilemma. Look right at your problem and ask yourself, what can I replace or switch out? Can you swap a person, a material, a specific time, or a place? Like, if you're stuck on a project because you don't have the right software, can you just substitute it with a pen and paper? If you're clashing with a coworker, can you substitute the environment where you usually meet them? Or, say you absolutely hate running to get your cardio in, can you substitute it with aggressive dancing in your living room? Just by swapping out one single variable, the entire dynamic of the problem can totally shift. Next up, we hit C for combine. This is where we completely stop looking at things in isolation. Ask yourself, can I merge two ideas or actions? Remember that false dilemma we talked about a minute ago? Option A versus option B. Well, what if you synthesize those opposing paths? If you can't decide whether to focus on your health or spend time with a friend, can you combine them by, say, going for a run together? Merging elements so often creates a totally new, highly efficient solution that you just couldn't see when you were forcing yourself to pick only one. Let's move to A and see how this builds our creative momentum. A is for adapt. What could I borrow or modify from another area? This one challenges you to look completely outside your immediate situation, way outside of your current box. Think about how a totally different industry or even nature itself solves a similar problem. If you're trying to organize a super messy schedule, ask yourself, how does an air traffic controller organize flights? Borrowing solutions from completely different domains can introduce some seriously revolutionary answers to your specific dilemma. Now we get a nice 3-for-1 deal. M stands for modify, magnify, or minimize. What can I change, and in what way? Try visualizing your problem like a dial on a mixing board. What happens if you scale up a certain part of it, or what if you shrink it down? If you have a problem with a daily task taking way too long, what if you magnified it and did it all at once for the whole month? Or what if you minimized it and only did 10% of it?
Stretching and shrinking the elements of your situation usually reveals exactly where the real friction is hiding. Then we pivot to P, which is put to another use. This one is all about looking at your existing assets with a totally fresh set of eyes. Can I repurpose something I already have or know? Look, sometimes we think we lack resources, but really, we just lack imagination. Look at your current skills, your resources, or even the problem itself in a completely new light. Could your intense anxiety about a presentation actually be repurposed as high-energy enthusiasm? Could an old, totally failed project be the exact foundation you need for a brand new initiative? Repurpose what's already right in front of you.
Next up is E for eliminate. This taps into the sheer, absolute power of subtraction. What can I remove to simplify the situation? The book teaches us that simplification is really just the process of cutting away clutter. Strip away the noise. What if you just stopped doing the thing that's causing the problem? What if a rule, a step, or a massive expectation was just deleted entirely? What if you just literally didn't hold that hour-long status meeting? Very often, an impossible problem actually solves itself when you just remove the unnecessary parts that were making it so incredibly complicated in the first place.
Finally, we arrive at R, reverse or rearrange. And honestly, this is frequently the most powerful letter in the entire acronym. What if I flipped the order or did the exact opposite? Just turn the whole thing on its head. If you're trying to figure out how to get more people to buy a product, reverse it. How would you guarantee that absolutely no one buys it? By figuring out the exact opposite, you map out the pitfalls. Or try backward planning. Start at your final goal and reverse engineer the steps to today. Flipping your perspective completely often unlocks that hidden door you just couldn't see when you were facing forward.
The hidden solution. Now, let's just slow down and ground ourselves for a second. It is absolutely crucial to understand that Scamper isn't about instantly finding the one perfect answer. It's the unlocking mechanism. It's the physical action of generating alternatives. By forcing your brain through this framework, you dismantle the walls of your mental box. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the transformation when we look at the before and after conceptually laid out side by side. Before applying Scamper, you're stuck in the box, right? Staring at a false dilemma of just two bad options, totally suffering from decision paralysis. But after you apply Scamper, boom, the box is dismantled. You're looking at a huge landscape of infinite alternatives. You've essentially transformed a super stressful dead end into an empowering menu of hidden solutions that you generated all by yourself. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Look at the problem that is currently paralyzing you. Grab a piece of paper, write down the letters SCAMPER, and just start pulling it apart. What hidden solution will you discover when you finally flip your perspective? The answer's out there, just waiting for you to find it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.